Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am live with my regular Wednesday morning Facebook Live. This is the first Wednesday of the month, which means this is also my card class to go. I offer a card class to go every month, usually the first Wednesday. And this week I am featuring the Kiss of Texture online exclusive. Good morning, Kim. Nice to see you. So online exclusives are fantastic. It's Stampin' Up's way of getting us some new kind of trendier products in a timely fashion. They are not in a catalog, which means they can last longer than a catalog. They can show up kind of mid-catalog and everything. And in fact, yesterday, they just released a whole bunch of new online exclusives as well. Kiss of Texture's been around for just a little while, a couple months. But just yesterday, they put out a whole bunch of new ones. So I actually have an online, here, I should switch over to my desktop so you guys can see just that. I actually have an online exclusives release. These are just the ones that were released yesterday in kind of a printable PDF format, because I do know that although these are available online, some people like to see it all in one place, like a catalog. So this PDF will be a link in my email replay that I send out later. So if you're not part of my email list, you're definitely going to want to sign up for that so that you get this PDF printable. It will also be available on my blog, stampinwithleah.ca, but that might take me a few more days, whereas this will be in the email. So definitely make sure you check that out, because there's three big sweet collections that are absolutely gorgeous. One of them I've been playing around with the textured notes dies from, and you'll see those in today's cards as well. And then there's a whole bunch of single stamp sets and fun embellishments and all that kind of thing. So with that being said, this is Kiss of Texture. It's a very, very simple, just kind of a background stamp. Well, three little mini background stamps, and I'm going to show you how to use them, because the name kind of tells you what you're supposed to do with them. You're supposed to kiss the two images together before you stamp them. So I'm going to show you how to do that on today's cards. Then, because these don't come with any sentiments, I grabbed our sketched butterflies, because the sentiments on there are just beautiful fonts and exactly the right size. And then I have a few little butterfly images that I can play around with and add into my cards as well. I thought this was a great one as well, because you don't have to have sketched butterflies. So many of us have sentiments and butterflies, and so these are an easy one to find what you've got in your stash to add along to the Kiss of Texture. All right, so now that I've shown you all of that, let's get stamping. Our first card, we're going to keep it really, really simple. So what we're doing with the stamps is hopefully very intuitive and very, very simple. So I've got a pebbled path card base. I am starting to get sad and worried about this color leaving us, because this is one of our 5 in colors that retires at the end of April. And so I actually ended up designing with it on all 3 cards today. And then I've paired it up with, both for the inside and the front, a textured notes, and I'll just bring that in so you can see the texture along the edges there. This is the largest of the textured notes dies that are part of our new online exclusives. So one of these we can stamp just right inside our card, but actually I wasn't going to, but I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on here. So I'm going to start with some Bubble Bath. If you're not fond of this color combo though, go ahead and grab any color you want. In fact, I've done mine in Bubble Bath, but we can just go ahead and grab something else entirely so that you can see what it would look like in another color scheme. Now, if I'm not using Bubble Bath, because it truly is our lightest color, I will have to stamp off most other colors. So let's try one in Coastal Cabana. I love Coastal Cabana with Pebbled Path, and I'll just show you what that would look like. Just remember that If you are doing this true to my original, you don't need to stamp off. The bubble bath is that light. All right, so we're going to grab our circle. On this particular card, I'm actually not using the kissing technique. I am just using the images as they are. So I'm going to ink up my circle, and because this is a darker color, I'm actually just going to check to make sure that stamping it off once is enough. No, I'm actually going to have to stamp off Coastal Cabana twice. It's so dark. All right, so stamp once, stamp twice, and then third generation, circle right there. All right, so you can see it's still pretty dark even on its third go. That's why I have to stamp it off so many times, whereas bubble bath, the first go is very, very light. All right, so I'm going to repeat that again, stamp twice, and then do my third circle on the page. And then stamp once, stamp twice, third circle on the page. All right, so I've got 3 circles on there. And I'm now actually going to clean up this circle because I don't want to forget that I've got Coastal Cabana ink on there. That would be a bit of a disaster on our next card. All right, so there we go. Got that done. Now I am going to grab my Pebbled Path ink. And for this particular one, I am just actually going to stamp my images right over top of these circles that I've created. So my first one is my favorite sentiment from my sketch butterflies. It's wishing you a beautiful birthday. And using the wishing you to kind of line it up and get it straight. So there we go. Just stamp right over our circle. I'm going to take the multi butterflies from the sketched butterflies and stamp those right over top of that circle. And then finally, I'm going to take the floral image from our Kiss of Texture stamp set, and I'm going to put it kind of on a diagonal. There we go. And stamp it right over top of the color. So not even coloring any of these images, just doing the Pebbled Path ink over top of the color splash. Now, I did say I was going to stamp on the inside of our card. So this is where I can actually show you the kissing texture. Actually, I won't, because then it'll mess up the way we've done this. All right. Oh, darn it. I went and cleaned my circle and I didn't need to, because I am going to put a splash of color on the inside of our card as well. All right. So I'm going to come in here, ink up my circle again, double, and when I do this one, I'm going to do it kind of over the corner. There we go. And then I'm going to come back in with my flowers and stamp them in this corner, just like that. So there we go. My flowers are in the corner over top of our color splotch, and that's just lovely. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different for my envelope. I'm not going to do the color splotch and the Pebbled Path. I'm going to clean up this floral image, and I'm going to stamp it on my envelope in Coastal Cabana. Now, again, I am going to have to do a lot of stamping off because this is such a dark image. So let's grab my envelope. So I can show you what that looks like when we did it in Bubble Bath. We just end up with a really sweet floral envelope there. It's actually pretty hard to see in the Bubble Bath. It's just very, very subtle. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to tuck my envelope inside so only my flap is showing. And then I'm going to get my Coastal Cabana ink again, my cleaned up flowers, and I'm going to stamp them off. And do I want to do 3 times? No, I'm only going to do twice for my envelope though. All right, let's put my ink over there. So I'm going to stamp off, stamp on, stamp off, stamp on, but I'm kind of turning it. I'm not lining it up straight, and I'm just kind of filling in the gaps. There we go. And stamp off and stamp on, stamp off and stamp on. All right. And so there you have it. We've just got some nice florals across our envelope flap now that coordinate with our card. Now to finish up our card, you can use whatever adhesive you like. Of course, I'm going to use my green glue. And we're simply going to take that inside piece and glue it into our card. There we go. Now, I love the liquid glue because it allows me to move my piece around and get it centered. There we go. So I've got my insert now in my card, and then I'm going to take my front piece and glue it down. And oops, there we go. So you can use tear and tape or seal, liquid glue, whatever you like to glue these layers down. And then the final thing we're going to do is I'm going to use some antique pearls as an embellishment on this card front. So I'm just going to grab 2 different sizes here and pop those on, and one more small one right up here. And just pop those on. So they are the antique, so they have kind of a yellowish pearlized look to them. And so they do stand out on the white background, which I kind of like. All right, and that is our card. So you can create this literally in any color you want. My recommendation, though, is if it's a darker color, just do a lot of stamping off so that you get a softer tone behind your images. And yeah, it's just a very, very quick, simple card to create with enough little details to it that it's interesting and beautiful. So yeah, that is our first card. So you will get the supplies to make 2 of this card in your kit. You'll need to have your stamps and inks. So really on this one, you can really customize it and make it what you want. The PDF will show instructions for bubble bath, but you can make it in any or every color that you want. All right, so that's our first card. Our second card is almost as simple. I say almost because this is where we're going to actually do the kissing technique. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a close up on this one. So we've got some patterned images. We've got the fern 3D embossed background, and then a piece of Pretty in Pink 3/8 inch bordered ribbon. So for this one, you're probably going to want to stick to the Bubble Bath and Pretty in Pink combo that I've done, at least to make the 2 that you get the kit for, because you will get your piece of ribbon in there. So for it to all coordinate, you probably want to stick with that color combo. But of course, you could grab a different ribbon and make this in any color you wanted as well. So to start, I am going to clean my circle because it does have Coastal Cabana ink on it. I am using my chamois, and I've already created the email for this card class going out. So if you are watching the replay, I did not include the chamois on my supplies list, and I really should have, because we're going to use it a lot today to clean up our images. So that is what we're starting with. And then I've got just a piece of basic white here. This is big enough to stamp 2 circles on. So that is exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to be using Bubble Bath ink and Pretty in Pink ink. So both of them on the same stamp before I even do anything. So step 1 is to take your circle and ink it up in your Bubble Bath, so your lighter color. Step 2 is to take your patterned image and ink it up with Pretty in Pink ink. And then I'm going to stamp this image onto my bubble bath circle and then onto my paper. And voila, you can see that we now have a perfect circle with a pattern on it. Oh, good morning, Lila. All right, so now I need 2 of those. So if you missed that or kind of were like, oh, what's she doing? You get to watch it one more time. So I'm going to clean this off because although I've just used the pinks and I'm going to use the same pinks again, I don't want any of the pattern because I probably won't stamp it in exactly the same spot the second time. So now I'm going to re-ink with Bubble Bath, re-ink with Pretty in Pink, and then stamp my image onto my circle. Then I'm going to take my circle and stamp my image onto my cardstock. And voila. So that is how we create those awesome patterned circles. I'm going to put away my inks for a moment. And the next thing we have to do is to cut these out. So, you're going to use whatever circles you have that are going to work best. I will give you die cut circles in your kit. If you're good, you can stamp this right onto your die cut image. Like you'll just center your stamp onto the actual die cut that you can see. I just don't love to do that. You will get the circles pre-cut in your kit to do that, or you can just use them for something else and die cut your own circles. The stamp set, Lila, is called Kiss of Texture. It's one of our online exclusives. And so it's called Kiss of Texture because what you just saw me do was called kissing. I put one stamped image onto another stamp before putting it to paper, and we call that kissing. So now that I've got 2 of these circles stamped with our kissed image, I am going to cut them both out. And I'm using the 3rd largest stylish shape circle, but lots of different circles are going to work with these images. The Spotlight on Nature circles work. I'm pretty sure we have some punches that work. Like the circle that you actually use to cut this out is going to be completely up to you. And I am using one that's giving me a white border because that really shows off that kissing technique that we did. And uses it to its full advantage. All right, so there's one circle. Now we're going to do our second circle. There we go. And yeah, I absolutely love these. And this is my favorite pattern too, like the little arches or rainbows or whatever you want to call them. I just think they're so cool. A little bit of a Japanese flair to them, I guess. Almost like fish scales or something. All right. So that was from our Stylish Shapes, our 3rd largest. And if you actually look at the Kiss of Texture stamp set, I do believe that their intention was for it to go with the Stylish Shapes because we've got the circle, the square, and the banner. And so it all works out really beautifully together. But you can use them with so many other things. All right, so now that we've got those done, we're going to bring in all of our pieces that you're going to get in your kit. And we'll start by taking our fern embossed layer and gluing it down to our card base. And again, I'm using that Pebbled Path. I believe the Pebbled Path and the Boho Blue are going to be the 2 colors I miss the most when this year's In Colors retire. Very, very sad to see them go. So we're going to glue this down, centered as best you can. All right. And then we're going to glue down our circles. So I like to just place them on here first. I want them kind of centered top to bottom. And then I'm trying to create an equal spacing like outside edge, center, and then the other outside edge. So these are equally spaced. That way when I go to put my sentiment over top, it still shows off some of the pattern. So yeah, that's how I do that. It's just kind of an eyeball thing. And then I do try to get the arches going in like a nice rainbow up and down format. Okay. I do find it easiest to stand when I'm doing this kind of work, because then you get a good view of how it all is laying out. Okay, so with those glued down, I'm done with my glue. Oh no, I'm not, because we've got our inside. Let's glue our inside in. There we go. There. And just like that. No, not very straight. This is why I like liquid glue. Just slide it over. There we go. All right, so we've got our insides in. Now we can put away our liquid glue. Okay, so then in your kit, you'll have just a 10-inch strip of pretty in pink bordered ribbon. And I'm just going to do 2 bunny ears, cross them over, and maybe make a bow. Let's try that again. Okay, so 2 bunny ears, cross them over, and make a bow. There we go. That worked better. All right, now I am going to pull this bow though so that my ends and my bows themselves are equal in length. And I'm going to try and tie that as tightly as I can. Now with that done, I'm going to grab my scissors and trim the ends because they're a little bit frayed from playing around with it. There we go. All right, so I've got a lovely little bow with trimmed up ends, and I'm going to grab a mini glue dot. Maybe. If I have some at my desk, I should. All right. Here we go. I've got some from a paper pumpkin. So I'm going to grab one of these mini glue dots and I'm going to put it on the back of the knot of my ribbon. Peel that off, and I'm going to place my ribbon so that it kind of goes on a diagonal, like across this curve and across that curve. Okay, so that is my ribbon attached. Now I can set this aside, and I'm going to work on my sentiment label here for my card. So you can use any sentiment you want, obviously. I'm using the sketched butterflies, and so I have done thinking of you as my sentiment on this card. So I'm just going to start by stamping my sentiment in the center of my circle with Pebbled Path ink, whatever sentiment you're choosing. And then those butterflies that we stamped earlier in Pebbled Path, I'm going to clean them up. And I'm not actually going to ink them all up though. I'm going to ink them up kind of one at a time and stamp them around my sentiment. So let's just make sure that's clean. Let's grab a scrap paper here. Now you can choose whether you want to do this in Pretty in Pink or in Bubble Bath. I did this one in Bubble Bath, but I almost feel like it ended up being too light in color. So I'm going to do them in Pretty in Pink this time. So I'm going to start with just one butterfly inked, and where you place it is really going to depend on your sentiment. There we go. There's one butterfly. Now I'm going to actually clean this again, because I don't want that butterfly inking up anywhere when I go to stamp the next one. All right, that's clean. Good. Now the next one is actually, I'm going to ink up this very center butterfly. So I'm actually going to turn this over, come in, and be pretty careful. And if I do accidentally get some on one of my other butterflies, which I did, I can just come in with my chamois, and you can actually use it like it's a kitchen cloth or something. Okay, and we'll just come in and clean that right up. There. And now I can go ahead and stamp this butterfly wherever I would like him. And I think I want him right there. There we go. So I've got two little butterflies around my sentiment. And now I'm going to add some gems onto this. So I'm going to put those butterflies away for a moment. Actually, yeah, I'm going to add my gems now. All right. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I feel like I've got more space this time down at the bottom and a little bit less space up here at the top. So we're going to do like that. With that done, I am going to put dimensionals basically on the two sides of our ribbon. So one right here and one right here. And there. Okay, I don't want my dimensionals going over top of my ribbon because then it's going to get all bulky and not sit right. Okay, and then with that done, I'm going to place that down. There we go. And that is our second card finish. Now you could come on in here and do one more. You can just ink up all these butterflies. And let's see, let's do them down over in this corner. Actually, I'm going to grab that scrap paper because I'm only going to put 3 in here. I like how those 3 sit together. There we go. And then my fourth one just was off the page. So I've got 3 little butterflies in there, and I can do the same to my envelope. So I could do either my whole flap, or what I think I'm going to do is just those same 3 little ones down in the bottom corner. Just like that. So that is my envelope decorated to match my card. So that's the second card from this kit. Oh, my card class at the end of the month. Yeah, Kim, I've just been finishing up some advertisements for that. And it looks like my in-person versions of my card class is sold out now. And so I'll only have the online versions left for people. And I should be doing another round of advertising for that coming up pretty quick. All right. So this is our third card. I love this card. This is a layout that I tried during Celebration with some DSP. Kim, you might recognize this. So you got that kit with the kiwis and everything. So super duper fun. And this time we just did it using stamped images instead. And I created like a little pastel rainbow because one of the sentiments in my Sketch Butterfly stamp set is you brighten up so many of my days. And I thought, well, what's brighter than a beautiful little rainbow? So yeah, that is that one. So let's get started. I have been very generous with the size of my paper for stamping on, because I don't want you to stamp your squares and then go to die cut them and find out like, oh, darn it, I was just a little bit too close. I can't get that edge. Because after we've done our stamping, we are going to take the third square and die cut around it. Now, for these ones, you will not get the squares already die cut. I just find it's a little bit hard to stamp the square because you have to be like so square when you stamp. That if you don't have square dies, I figured it's just as easy for you to use your paper trimmer to trim these down so they have the border you want, or even to use scissors and to cut these squares out. You just won't have the dots around the outside, which I don't think is like the end all be all. So you'll just get these 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares to stamp on, and then you can trim them down how you please. All right, so to do this one, we will need a scrap paper because, like I said, if we're not stamping in Bubble Bath, we really do need to stamp off. So let's just go ahead and get our scrap paper right off the bat. And I'm going to start with our lightest color, which is Lemon Lolly. This color is shockingly bright when you don't stamp it off. And I'm also going to get our Pebbled Path all set up with our timber kind of look to it. And I'm just going to rest that in my ink pad so it is ready to go. So I'm going to ink up my square with Lemon Lolly, stamp it off, stamp my timber onto my stamped image, and then stamp it as best as I can in the center of my square. All right, so there's our first one ready to go. Now I'm going to take my timber, put it back on my Pebbled Path so it's ready to go. Close up my Lemon Lolly. Clean my square. So it's a little bit of a process between each step here, but it's not bad. All right, cleaned up my Lemon Lolly. Double check there's no Lemon Lolly left on there. Good. All right, now let's do our Flirty Flamingo. So Flirty Flamingo. So we ink, we stamp off, we kiss, and then we stamp. All right, there we go. Next one done. Beautiful. Now I can put away my Flirty Flamingo. You guys will be experts at this just from watching this repeated so many times on this card. Clean our stamp. Now, if you were going to make multiples of this, I would do all of your Flirty Flamingo stamping and then all of your black, balmy blue, all of that. But you do still need to clean in between because you've got those Pebbled Path lines on there. So you're not really saving any cleaning, but maybe saving a little bit of like opening and closing of ink pads. All right, so we've inked our balmy blue, stamp off our balmy blue, kiss, and then stamp. There we go. And one last one to do, so we'll put away our balmy blue, get our Pebbled Path ready to go, clean our square. Oh, Kim, I just realized you weren't even talking about my card class to go that you usually order. You were talking about my birthday celebrations card class. Yeah. And today is the last day to register for that. So if you haven't seen my birthday celebrations advertisement yet, go to stampinwithleah.ca and check that out because today is the last day to register for that card class. It is going to be a beautiful 6-card card class. You'll have a ton of DSP left over, and it's just going to be gorgeous. All right, this last square is Fresh Freesia. Ink it up, stamp it off, kiss, and stamp. There we go. So it's a little bit of a process, but it creates such a beautiful result. So I'm going to put those to the side. Before I put away my Pebbled Path, I'm going to grab my banner. You'll get your banners pre-cut. And then lots of sentiments will fit on here. This one says, "You brighten up so many of my days." And we just stamp that right in there. And we're good to go. Okay. So now that we have all those bits created, we can put our card together. So I am going to start by just gluing the inside of my card and my textured. This is textured with the Timber 3D embossing folder. Figured since we're stamping timber, we might as well emboss it too. So I'm going to glue these two pieces directly onto my card base. And again, this is a pebbled path card base with a pebbled path textured layer on top this time. Okay. The pebbled path is just such a nice neutral, and it goes so well, especially with pastel colors. But actually, that being said, I've also paired it up with like the very vibrant Berry Burst and Coastal Cabana, and it's gorgeous as well. So I don't know, it just goes with so many things. I think later this week, my Festive Friday card is also Pebbled Path, paired with, one of them is paired with Cherry Cobbler and the other one with Blackberry Bliss. All right, there we go. So we've got all those bits glued. Now we have to trim down our squares. So grab a punch, grab a die, grab whatever you want to cut these out. I'm going to use my Stylish Shape dies, and it's the third largest square, is the one that works beautifully with this. Now, when I put these down, I put them on a little bit of an angle. That way you're not going to hit a speed bump as you roll it through. You're going to be leading with a point instead of a flat edge. Okay, there we go. And roll it through. Now you could use a smaller square, but then you wouldn't get the nice white border on your colored part, and so it wouldn't really show off the fact that you kissed these to create them. You know, you might as well have just done some stamping and then cut out whatever shape you wanted from your stamped background. So this just really shows off the fact that you did do the kissing technique. Okay, and again, lead with the point. All right, and 2 more to go. So I love my mini machine because it's so easy to use, light to carry around my craft room, and for something like this, I can't do multiple die cuts anyways. I know there are some people out there who own like multiple sets of Stylish Shapes and could probably cut out all 4 of these squares at once, but I have only 1 set of these dies. I'm only one person. I only have 1 set of these dies, so I have to do them one by one anyways, so the mini machine is perfect. Yeah, it is kind of like an actual stamp. Yeah. All right, and there we go. Last one. All right, so now that we have all 4 of those cut out, stuff like that I normally do in advance, but I really wanted you guys to see the technique of doing that kissing, so you had to watch me also die cut them then. All right, put my square away. So with all of those done, I decided to arrange them so that they're almost like arrows, because this timber has kind of like that loop like that. So I've got pointing this way. When you hit that, you point down. When you hit that, you point over. And when you hit that, you point up. And that's just kind of how I decided I like them. Now, you could be very proper and line them up and make it all very squared. Or if you're not wanting to do that, you can have a little bit of fun with them now and glue them down in kind of like a haphazard, overlappy kind of way. And then I would just change where I put my sentiment to cover up the hole in the middle that you're going to create. So it's going to be really like your preference on this style of card. I am very much make it straight, make it look intentional. So I'm going to take the time to line these up. So I always even though these were die cut, so it shouldn't change too much. I always lay them out once just to see how much space I need. That's good. And then those two I can do later. And then I like to start with my top corner. Oh, Kim, you are keeping me so on the ball today with all the things I had promised myself I'd talk to you guys about and then haven't. Yeah, so like Kim mentioned before, I have a card class coming up at the end of the month, birthday celebrations. Today's the deadline to register for that. And you can contact me for info if you can't find it easily on my blog. And then in today's description of the video, I am going to be trying something new. I'll try it for a few months, see how it goes. But with these card class to goes, I thought it would be fun. I often do prize draws at my big card classes, like the one, the birthday celebration one coming up at the end of the month. I thought it would be fun to do a prize draw for my online card classes. So there is a questionnaire to fill out. You do have to fill out the whole thing, even if I know you. And every time you fill in this questionnaire, they'll be like brand new for each monthly card class. You get entered into a draw. And now, because I know not everybody watching me is from Canada, I'm actually going to do 2 draws. I will do a Canadian draw. So all the Canadians who enter my form, I'll do a draw for you, and one lucky winner will receive a little prize in the mail from me, embellishment or DSP or something. And I will also do one international draw, and that will be for a digital project, a PDF tutorial that you'll receive via email from me. Because international postage and sending stuff, that's just a little bit expensive for me. So, but I do know that I have a lot of non-Canadians who watch, so thank you. And you'll still be able to be entered into your own draw. So please make sure that you fill that in. I will do the draw on Friday evening, so you've got some time. If you're if you've got friends who think would be interested in this card class as well, or in entering my draw, please make sure you let them know and have them fill in the questionnaire as well. All right, so this is going to go on with dimensionals, and I'm having it go far enough over that it overlaps onto my blue and onto our textured area. And then finally, I'm going to finish this off with some antique pearls. So I've used antique pearls on all of my cards today. All right, I used up my last small one on that package, so let me grab another package here. So these antique pearls actually come in 3 sizes, large, medium, and small. And in my opinion, they did it just right. There are less large ones than there are small ones, because I tend to use less large ones than small ones. And there you go. That is the 3rd card all done. So that is your full card class to go. So with a $60 order before March 11th, using my host code, you will get the cardstock and the ribbon and the little embellishment bits and everything to create 2 of each of these designs. You'll need your own inks and stamp set at home, but that's okay. You can use, your $60 order to get your Kiss of Texture stamp set and any inks that you might want. And all the die cut pieces will be die cut for you, except for those squares. So that is how that works. And then if you wanted to bump up your order to a $75 order, I will actually mail you, so it'll be separate from your order of your products. I will mail you a package of antique pearls as well as a thank you. So that's our card class to go for March. I'll have another one in April. Please check out all my upcoming classes. So much happening in person and online. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, everyone.